Sports broadcasting is one of the most visible platforms in the media industry, but it has not always been the most welcoming for women. The voices we hear, the stories that are amplified, and the people allowed to take up space in sports media all shape who holds power and who gets seen. For many women, entering this space means pushing against long-standing norms and learning to be visible without permission. Today's guest is someone who has done exactly that. Growing up in a large family in Nigeria, Chief Suo Chapele's early life was shaped by books, sports, and community. Those formative years prepared her for a path she would later define on her own terms. She did not set out to fit an existing mold. Instead, she leaned into language, culture, and instinct, turning a moment in a Lagos radio studio into a bold new way of telling sports stories that resonated widely. In this episode, I speak with Chief Suo about finding her voice, navigating male-dominated industries, and building a career in sports media without shrinking herself. We talk about the realities women face and the unseen work behind confidence and the responsibility and freedom that comes with visibility. This is a conversation about growth, resilience, and the power of owning your story. My name is Fola Folayan, and this is Minding Your Business Africa. If you're an aspiring broadcaster or a working journalist looking to sharpen your skills, the Radio Masterclass is for you. The Radio Masterclass provides practical training in broadcast journalism, helping African journalists develop the skills, tools, and confidence needed to tell authentic African stories and deliver credible journalism. With self-directed virtual courses and customized training and consulting, you can learn at your own pace wherever you are. To get started, visit www.theradiomasterclass.com and take the next step in your radio journey. Hello, this is Fola Folayan. Thank you so much for listening and for the support. I'm very excited to share that this podcast has officially crossed 5,000 listens and downloads. I am truly appreciative of every listen, every share, and every message. If you enjoy this podcast, please support me on Spotify by leaving a rating and sharing it with your friends and your network. Your support helps the podcast grow and reach even more listeners. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey. For listeners meeting you for the first time, those who are not Nigerians, or who probably have seen you on their screens, but they don't really know who you are that much, how would you describe who Suo Chapele is? And this is a personal question for me as well, because I've always been intrigued by your name. I know that your name is Tracy, but I wanted to know, where exactly does Suo come from? What does it mean? How do you even pronounce it? Because I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing it right. So let's start with that.
Yeah, you're pronouncing it right.
I am.
My name,
Okay.
yeah, like Dampu driver. So
Oh, for real? I am a downfall driver. So
the irony is, I hated that song so much that I switched my name up to Tracy just not to have that.
wait,
But
is that your real? Is it a real name?
it's my
It's not a
real
slang.
name. It's not a slang. So I'm a Robo. I come from Delta State, Alaja. I'm a mash of multiple cultures, but my name is Warri Chinyelu Chapele.
Oh,
Tracy, I give myself when I was growing up, and I saw that people like Franco Lise, and my favorite casters from NTA at the time, they always seem to have some sort of English name. Apart from Zainab, yeah, Miriam, the rest had
yeah.
English names. So I was like, I need a name that sings. And my stepmom at the time loved Tracy Chapman, so she was always playing Tracy Chapman.
Ah,
And I was always sharpening my mouth in class. So they were always calling me Chapman, Chapele. You know how kids can be. Where kids, sometimes their brain can be extra. So I was like, you know
yeah,
what, Tracy, because I thought I was going to be the weather woman. So Tracy
for
Chapman.
real,
Yeah.
for real.
But SWA means trust. It means to put your trust in God. Let us all put our trust in God. And especially from 2020, after COVID, And after
Mm.
life happened to me, I felt like there was no need leaning into anglicized names. I wanted to be reminded always about my culture and what
Mm-hmm.
held me. And what held me and what has been holding me has been trust in God. So I went back to being Suo fully. These days I don't enjoy when people call me Tracy, but like I met you as Tracy. I was like, I know, but
Wow.
revelation has come. I prefer to be called Suo because when I say that, it reminds me and it represents my people who come from
Mm-hmm.
where I am, no matter where I go in the
Mm-hmm.
world, they know that once this name sounds like where I come from. So
Mm.
when you come from Alaja and you pass through the roots I have and you have see someone that's making her way through the world in the best way she or with the best tools or way she can, it gives you the encouragement to know that you self, Ejo Woke, you self, Ejiro, you self, Kewe, find your way.
Mm.
You still make your way in the world and bring value. There are enough traces. There's not enough swords. So that's it.
This is incredible. Thank you for sharing that because honestly, I didn't know. I grew up hearing that song. I mean, I danced to it. Danfo drivers were like, they were part of the soundtrack of my growing up. But I never
Yeah.
thought, I didn't know it was an actual name. I thought it was some sort of slang from the South part of Nigeria. So when
Um,
you're the first person that I would encounter with the name Swo. So I thought it was a nickname. And this something you said just struck a chord with me. How you didn't want to anglicize your name. You just wanted to have a name that is rooted in your culture and that is very authentic to you. I grew up without an English name either. For some reason,
yeah.
they didn't give me one. And I remember growing up in primary school, secondary school, I wanted it so bad. When I joined,
Guy.
there's no name I'm not giving myself in this life. When I joined, some fellowship in secondary school, I remember calling myself Sister Sarah. I called, I know, it's embarrassing now, but
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. Totally not.
I've called myself all sorts of things, but then the older I got, the more secure I became in myself, and the more I just found myself to be like, okay, this person that is no longer embarrassed by who she is authentically. And I just
Yeah.
leaned into it. So my name will always be Folarami or Moshalewa. That's who I am.
Talewa. Very
Yeah,
important.
very, very important. So very important.
Oh my lord.
Oh my word, this is so cool. Thank you so much for sharing that honestly. So let's talk about you growing up. You talked about how you had influences from your stepmom, from school and all of that. What was the environment like growing up? Because when I listen to you speak on the air or on stage or watch you doing your thing, you have this very confident voice and personality. So did was it something you acquired as you grew up or it was inborn? How did you become this person that you are right now?
I'm still becoming. I can say that because I'm like, when you say COVID, I'm like in my mind. I'm like, me, Meno. I think every public speaker battles internal challenges one way or the other. But I
Yeah.
think I would I would factor it to my mom. So my mom died when I was very young. I was 5. She was on a stroll,
Oh
some
wow.
Sunday evening stroll, and we were strolling together. And my cousin, my mom, and an aunt, and she just had this aneurysm thing, and off she went.
Oh
But
my gosh. I'm
she,
so sorry.
and she died young. She was like 39. But at the time of her death, she was big on education. She was our head of
Mm,
primary board education in Delta State at the time.
mm,
She was a consummate businesswoman. She had multiple degrees. She was working on her PhD. She had 8
mm.
children in the mix, and she was still managing a bakery. She was very active.
What?
Yeah. One thing my mom I was able to enjoy from her was when she discovered that you had something. Ooh, immediately she always tried to put you on the path. Even with my
Mm,
elder step brothers and sisters, the careers they are on, it was my mom. My mom discovered that I had a gift for reading and a gift for the gap when I was much younger. So what she did when I was in KG, I didn't finish kindergarten. I skipped classes. But
yeah.
I came back for the KG3 to be a valedictorian to do the speech giving. So my first
Okay.
speech instructor was my mom. At
Hmm.
age 4, she would bring me to her room. She would give me speeches. Tear down this wall. Like it's as crazy as I knew tear down this wall, Mr. Gorbachev, Babi Mr. Gorbachev, those speeches. She would just give me excerpts and say, yeah, read it, read it, read it. Let me see how well. After you read it, can you remember it? Then she would give me
Hmm.
Dr. Seuss. Read it. Can you remember it? So,
Wow.
I mean, in Warri, we already have our pronunciation challenges, right? So she was always like, read it in a way that you can communicate, and at the same time, you
Hmm.
can still try and keep to proper pronunciation patterns, whatever, and try to
Yeah.
express. So my mom was my first person to remind me or point me to the fact that I had a voice, that I ought to speak
Hmm.
out. And then you grow up in a family that has 11 brothers and multiple sisters. On the average, you guys are, give or take, 20 something kids running around, and you're among the last set
Wow.
of children. Honey, if you cannot speak out, no, don't speak out now. No, don't talk. You have to
I
defend,
can
though.
imagine in that
Hmm.
kind of situation, you have to be able to stand for yourself and advocate for yourself.
You have to, and you have to find ways to advocate. And because in my family, they're very big on respect. So even when the senior is wrong, you have to still
Hmm.
advocate for yourself and still be respectful on some level until you are not.
Wow.
You just tear it.
I,
Just you have to tear sometimes.
I
So
imagine you must have learned how to be diplomatic as well.
I won't say diplomatic, or I'll just say pick your battles, my dear. There's not every battle you must fight. It's not everybody you must. No, there are some seniors that just let them be. There are some that you must go toe to toe. If you don't give them bass, that's the only language they know. So you had to know how to manage your strengths and how to conserve your energy. But
Hmm.
that kind of helped, because moving forward, it was very. In fact, my family, almost all of us at one time, had back and forth with our dad. Me, I disowned my
Hmm.
dad. My dad disowned me. It was back and forth at certain times. So it was
Hmm.
very difficult for me to grow through that and come into a life where I would be told that I had to be subservient or reduce my light or shrink. Whenever I
Hmm.
was in spaces that had me wanting to shrink or be less of myself, something internal would just kick and I would never fit in. And
Hmm.
no matter how I tried, I would never fit in. And it will be when I leave, that's when the Spirit of God in me will tell me that, how did you think you were going to be able to thrive in this kind of space? See how it
Hmm.
operates. So why do you think this is a space that you could have shown anyway? You have to be able to
Hmm.
express to a certain level and to be yourself, your authentic self, while you provide quality work as best you can. So my
Yeah.
upbringing kind of made me not want to see things injustice or
Hmm.
see someone being put in a certain light and just be fine with it and be
Hmm.
comfortable with it. If you're not trying to maintain the standard, you should at least make it better or maintain it. That's the only thing you can do. You can't let it be worse. So
Yeah.
moving out in life, I guess I began to learn that not everybody has a similar baseline. You have to learn to lean into where they are, meet them where they are without compromising yourself. But
Hmm.
I guess if you ask why I have a confident voice, because I mean, if I don't, I will be drowned in this life. If you are not
Hmm.
confident in whatever small thing you have, life will
Hmm.
sweep you. And I don't like being swept aside. I've been swept aside before. I've lost my voice before. I've lost confidence in
Hmm.
my voice before. So anything that puts me in that light again, I try to avoid it. By the grace of God, I've mostly avoided it.
I mean, it's incredible just listening to you and seeing, seeing this picture, that this mental picture that you're painting right now. And I feel like um, sometimes the things we go through, even when we're going through it, we're not even aware of how much it is shaping us, how much it is building us to be who we are. You're learning, but you're not consciously learning. Then when
Yeah.
you're in that space where you're using those lessons, you begin to look back and you see how far you've come and how those experiences have shaped you. Because you said you grew up with 11 brothers. Now, I can only imagine, how much that has worked inside of you unconsciously to be this person that can work in a predominantly male dominated space and hold your own, and not just hold your own, stand out. Because if we, I was doing a mental compare and contrast. I grew up an only child.
Whoa.
Yeah. I had
Wow.
no siblings. It was just me, my parents, my grandparents, and that was it. And it's affected me so much so that I struggled with making friends and, being in a space where, there's a lot of people. I have to assert myself. So a lot of times I have been lucky, because let me say my gifts always made people notice me. But
Yeah.
naturally, the real me would not speak up. I can very conveniently fade into the background. You would not even know I'm there. But then as I grew up, they're going to school, making friends, it took a while. This Fola that now, it's a long journey to get here. So listening to you, I'm just getting inspired. Like, how we raise kids matter, don't you think? Like, even
I do.
if, because I felt like even if I had grown up alone, if I had an environment where I was forced to speak up, a lot of things would have been different.
Um, there might be some meat to what you say because you're speaking and I'm like, I need to take notes from this woman because I have a son and he's an only child. And
Yeah.
sometimes I worry because I'm like, you sometimes I feel like you don't get to enjoy the color that we
Mm,
had growing up. But now we're all adults, and let me not lie you, it's not a biggie because just because you had a lot of siblings growing up doesn't mean that you automatically are close or you
to
are
all of
together
them. Yeah.
when we grow up. What I've tried to do for my son is the environment, right? Because that's one
Yeah.
thing you are right on. The environment is niche. If the environment you cultivate an environment that's community based, right?
Mm, mm,
Um, it's varied enough for the child to be in different setup that make them come out, whether subconsciously or consciously. You see them rise. My son does that a lot. He teaches me that sometimes it's not by having a lot of siblings.
mm,
There's hardly a place. He chooses when he wants to come out or when he doesn't want to. He's 12
mm.
this year, and I'm like, the kind of composure you have at this age, I'm not sure I had it because
Yeah.
for us, we had to perform on some level. You don't
Mm,
feel the need to perform. It's not performative.
mm,
It's either you are there when you're clocked in or you're not. But the
mm.
environment where we raise our kids is very important because you don't realize that this is what they will carry truly. So it's
Yeah.
whether they build character, whether it gives them a sense of responsibility,
Mm,
whether they feel connected. It's the connection also. A lot of times, we don't feel as connected to certain things. And you ask yourself
yeah.
why? Because it was not important to you growing up.
Yeah.
Those things
Yeah.
was not a big deal. When you start saying Nigeria, my Nigeria, some people will be like, what Nigeria? Bro, it was just a place for me. For
Yeah.
me, when my son is like, what Nigeria? He doesn't get to say that again because
Mm.
I try to push the idea to him that this is the only place where you are not less. When you go any other
Yes.
place in the world, you have to look over your shoulder. You are the
Exactly.
minority.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
when you are here, you have to enjoy the benefits of not being the minority. For me,
Exactly.
it's the values. As long as the values sink through the environment, it
Mm.
helps. And like you rightly said, it's when you grow up, when life puts you in different environments or situations, that's when you know what you are made of. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
even realize what I was made of until I went to Ultimate Search on some level. At that time, my dad was still alive. And from what my siblings told me, they were like, my dad is very anti. I don't know whether it's tough love or I don't know. Sometimes my dad was weird. And it's so weird that I inherited his title as a chief,
Wow.
but the only reason I could inherit it was because my dad never thought that any of his kids was going to be about that. My dad would look at you and tell you that none of you will be as great as me. That was the kind of dad I had. Like he will
Wow.
tell you. straight up. So when stuff started playing out for me in certain ways, I was like, the reason I am the person I am, Pops, is because of you. He was like crying
Mm,
and thank you, but he didn't realize that I was saying that I could not imagine that you are the author and finisher of my life. That you
mm,
just because you gave birth to me, you think you know where my leg will reach or
mm,
where my abilities can reach. No, it was just an anti in me. So every time for a long time, my shrink had to tell me that you are not fighting the battles of you are not living life to fight your father. You have to live
mm,
life for yourself. A lot of
mm,
times I was putting my standard and pitting myself against my dad. And
mm,
what he would do then, he would say, nobody can be as good as me. Nobody, none of you. You think you can. It's the environment. It either pushes you. Some of my siblings, a lot of them, they folded because it's a big thing to climb over. Some of them are just coming out of it. Me,
mm.
I'm glad that that battle, God helped me to win it quick, and I
Wow.
left it quick. But it's the environment for you. You don't know that it shapes you until it
Mm.
shapes you. Aha.
Until it has finally shaped you, and then you're like, oh, wow, these are the things that brought me here. I mean, listening to you talk about um, taking after your dad, despite the fact that, there's so many siblings and all of these challenges and all of these hurdles. I wonder how you've been able to translate that into the work you do. You just mentioned that you went for ultimate search.
Yeah.
Um, what I'm getting from you is, are you the kind of person that you tend to take on challenges that are unexpected? Unexpected for a lot of people, like they don't see you coming, right?
Sometimes they do. When they do, they block it a lot. I've been
Ah,
blacklisted in my industry. Yeah. At one time, one of the
wow.
places I worked at. Yeah. A sports radio. I've had that. That's. Oh, you see this girl? Don't work with her. Don't work with her.
Wow.
She's very this like this and this like that. But I've also been blessed enough to have opportunities and work with people that saw through my heart and
Mm,
saw through my passion and didn't try to be gatekeepers of my talent
mm,
or of the potentials I had. Um, I read a lot, and when you read a lot when you are growing up, the world is open. I knew
mm.
where Manhattan and the rest was before I was 10. I could tell you certain streets in, New Orleans, because that's one of my favorite cities to read about, you know. So when your mind is open, it's very difficult for you to live in a space where you see that there are
Mm,
limited options. When you see
mm,
people do things, it ignites you.
mm,
For instance, an ultimate search move was because my childhood best friend at the time had won the year before. And it seemed like he got crazy. He had money, he had a brand new car, and the friendship just, crumbled. And I was like, I want to see what was so special about this so called jungle. Let me go and test it. And I
wow.
went. In fact, it was exactly a week after I was cleared from a surgery I had. And I didn't
What?
even do it in Lagos. I went to Warri because I was like, people cannot do stuff in Lagos. It's too full. So I need to go and strategize to a place where I thought that I might have a chance. I
Yeah.
try things out, not because I feel like most times when I finish doing it, that's when I realize that, oh, it's not been done before. It's just like doing commentaries. I just did it. It seemed natural to me. My first degree was in English and literature, and then there was an
Yeah.
opening. BBC had the opening initially for Pigeon. I went through the process. I got to the final stage. I didn't cross over. That thing kind of broke me
Mm,
initially. And I felt like,
mm,
okay. And then a few years later, after I had worked with Queste Sports, I saw another opportunity. In fact, I didn't want to use it. I gave it to some other friends because at the time I was working in a place that I felt comfortable. The only difference
mm.
was 5,000 naira difference. And the fact that Anegbon Charles Anazudo told me that, you
Yeah.
know what? Take this job. It was Wazobia that was initially with the opening for pigeon commentaries. I was like, take
Yeah.
this job. You never can tell. It's the projects. Projects have a way of having hydras, like multiple things that you can do. It may not just be. And
Mm.
I just, I didn't even apply. I just, I just freestyle. I freestyled my way into something. I mean it. I didn't apply. I didn't. I just freestyled my
Wow.
way into the seat of the CEO or the office of the CEO, and I was just like, I say, I already walked down the road in inspiration, but you have this thing. and I already do this and this and this, and to do the pigeon, it's not difficult. I'm sure that your best will not do what I can do. And
Whoa.
I capped my
That is
way.
a bold statement. Your best will not do what I can do.
Only I read English and literature. Storytelling is what I do. And if you understand, you've done it before. When you understand the basics of certain things, you know that all you have to do is repurpose. So,
Yeah.
and I come from Delta. I wrote exams in Pidgin in some of my electives in linguistics.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
being able to communicate in Pidgin is it's natural. Most times you have to water it down. Even the version of Pidgin I speak now, because I hardly spend as much time in Delta as I used to, is
Mm-hmm.
now watered down. If I go worry, as they say, I have to unlearn and relearn because the language baseline is always changing. It's very
Yeah,
organic.
it's always
Our Pidgin there
evolving.
is
Yeah,
always
it's
evolving.
organic.
But I
Mm.
had that confidence because, girl, it's like somebody doubting that you are Fola. You are Fola. Is it you? Oh, Alara, is it you? Like,
You there, body?
is it body? So, all I just try to do is understand where I can be of value in the system, and as
Mm.
long as I see that there's somebody there that has done something like that, and they did not die, why can't it be me?
Mm.
I would give shout out to Chisom Mbonu because when I was in Delta, and I didn't know that there was a career in sports available. Not to mention that you could be pregnant and still be doing it. It was 2010. I was on the streets, NR Junction, a popular Fassi roundabout. They have reconstructed that place too much. A popular junction in Warri. And there was this big velodrome
Okay.
multimedia that they used to put, adverts. And at the time, it was the World Cup that they were showing. And I saw a
Mm.
pregnant woman in dreads. You know the optics. There's a look for women normally. And then you see a pregnant
Yeah.
woman with the big nose that we have when we are pregnant in dreads, and she's sitting at the anchor seat
Mm.
of a World Cup, like official World Cup production
Broadcast. Yeah.
broadcast, and she's serving bass, and then they put the name, and you see full proper Igbo woman name, Chisom Umbono. Hey. My sister, I stood there. I didn't care that I was in the middle of the road. I stood there and I was crying. And
Mm.
something changed in me. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I would not be able to go back to whoever it was I was.
Mm.
I started saving my money, joined the church. I was working for them, Morning Star. Saved my
Mm-hmm.
money, got myself a BlackBerry, got myself radio school certification, went to Lagos, did
Mm-hmm.
it, and entered the pathway. And when I said I wanted to do sports, we're always laughing. They were always laughing. They would never give me the chance. They put me on other shows, which I handled
Why?
very well. Because there's a bias, you see, people always like to gatekeep what they think is the profession that you are supposed to have. It's just
Mm.
like when I wanted to do the ultimate search as well. I was not the one that was the most physically strong, but the show was not about being physically strong. It was about perseverance, even when you don't
Mm.
have the best things in your favor. And that's how I stayed to the last week. I was almost last guest standing. In
Wow.
the end, I was killing snakes that I'd never bothered with because they were things that were natural to me. I was going to my father's farm. Same thing with
Mm.
Chisom. When I saw Chisom do it 2 years after, before I finally sat in a studio to even start doing anything that resembled sports. But when I saw that, it ignited. So, what I try to do in my own way is position myself. If a picture can tell 1,000 stories, a frame, what is some ladies like her have done?
Mm.
They've opened a pathway. I know for a fact that the reason why a lot of young ladies now are into sports and commentaries as a career is because
Mm-hmm.
they saw me do it, and
Yeah.
they can branch out. There are a few people I have trained personally or I mentor from wherever I am. And I can tell you, it's a thing of pride for me because I'm like, we need more of us understanding that there is no closure. You can
Mm.
always do what you need to do. I see how you
Mm.
approached it now. We never spoke when I think you were on info
Yeah.
just before you left when I came into Wazobia. We never really spoke physically or whatnot. But I
Yeah.
saw how you always went with the favored woman. The favor, I was like, why would this woman be leading with spiritual, spiritual, spiritual? But guess what? The zeitgeist has changed.
Yeah.
Now, if you're about God, and you are putting it front and center, it is fine, well, and okay, because you have to be about something. There's no
Mm.
footballer now that moves, that's into a God lifestyle, God ordained lifestyle in their own way, like the Christians, that will not
Yeah.
kabash. They will not speak in tongues. See Kevin Bassey at the AFCON, he was speaking in tongues with his mother just before his games. He would walk around. You look at Rashidat, they will carry God in front and center. Before, you could not try that. But you
Mm.
see, people get emboldened when they see that other people pass through these things. They are open about their beliefs. And you know what?
Mm.
The world did not end. Did the sky
The
fall?
world did not
No.
end. The
I
world did
keep
not
waiting for
end.
the sky to fall. Every time they tell me that,
Mm.
"Yeah, do you know you're not supposed to do this?" Right now, I'm dealing with a personal battle of something I want to do. And I'm like, if I do it, how can I, do I have can I do it? And then I'm still reminding myself, even if you do it and anything happens, the world will not end.
Will not
So,
end.
when you ask, how did I get into this career? I saw people that tried their best and it
Yeah.
sparked something. And when they were doing it, it's not because they planned to. They had to feed their families with the
Mm-hmm.
skills they had. So they had
Mm-hmm.
to just be there. And I think that's one of the drivers that's been pushing the needle for a lot of us, especially females. You have to feed your family. You have to do it with skills that will not bring you disrepute and will
Mm-hmm.
not put you in dishonorable light. So
I
you do it
mean,
anyway.
listening to you is just it is so inspiring, and it is affirming a lot of things, in me, because this is why we say that representation matters.
It does.
Honestly, it does matter. When you see someone like you look at yourself and you ask, if this person can do it, then so can I. you
Yeah.
know a lot of things you're saying just resonated with me, because um I remember the first time I studied mass communication, clearly, so I've
Yeah.
always been flirting with the media in one way or the other, even right from school. I was interning at NTA. I was already a news reporter, and then at some point I was a newscaster. But I remember back in the day when I was in Ibadan, and I was still trying to to see if I would fit into radio, because I was crossing over from reading news on TV and trying to,
Bro.
how this radio thing would work. And so many people, I had a, I had a boyfriend who literally told me that you want to go to Lagos and go and do radio with this your Ibadan English. Is it your type they're looking for?
Mo.
I'm
It
telling
never
you,
stops. It never stops. It never stops.
this is someone who is supposed to be in a relationship with me.
Ah.
He told me point blank that it's not my type that they are looking for in Lagos. And guess what? Because of that, I did not go. I did not. I had the chance to come to Lagos and get the job. I did not go because someone whispered in my ear that this is not for you. And
Ah,
it took me another 2 years of
bruh.
yeah, it took me another 2 years. I stayed in Ibadan. Then I went to Abuja. It was when I went to Abuja and broke up with this fellow, and then I started to build my confidence back. Interned at a radio station in Abuja for free.
As usual, this is what we do. We do these things, my dear. If you have not done free, have you done anything?
For free. And then use that opportunity to build a confidence, that could bring me back. When you were mentioning people who gave you advice, who opened the door, who showed you the way, for me, it was Femi Obong Daniel.
Mm.
Yeah. Femi had known me from Ibadan. He used to give me voiceover jobs, things like that. And he would teach
With your
me
Ibadan accent too.
with
Sorry, I
my
had to
Ibadan
chip that in.
accent. Yes, no. With my Ibadan English, he would give me, voiceover jobs. He would teach me, pronounce this like this, pronounce that like that. Oh, say this way, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So one day he came to Abuja on a Cool FM business, and he just asked me that, don't you want to come to Lagos? I said, I want to come now, if you give me a chance.
You give me
And he said,
jazz.
no problem. He told me come, and he opened his laptop, asked me to record certain things, like an audition. I recorded an audition on his laptop. He took it to Lagos, and then I got an invite to come to Lagos and do a proper audition. And that's how I landed at Cool FM Lagos. At that time, there was no Nigeria info.
Yeah. You really did the cool, oh.
That's how I landed at Cool FM Lagos. I started to read news there. And then when the opportunity came again that, oh, Nigeria Info was opening, who would like to cross over?
Yeah, that was a
I
good crossover.
Yeah, I shyly raised my hand and said I would like to try it out. And that's how I left, being a news reporter and a news reader to Nigeria Info
A
a presenter,
conversationist.
as a conversationist. And
Because you
it
must
was crazy
converse.
because
Info, you must talk.
see this we need to see people doing this. Then there was a lady, I think she's probably in Abuja now, but she's from Jos, Yop Rampam. Yop was the
Oh.
afternoon presenter on Cool FM that year. And I just used to look at her, the way she would speak. When someone is speaking, their voice sounds like ice cream. Like,
Mm,
I'll be
just
looking, I'll be listening to her, be like, hey, God, when will I become like this? So I started sitting with her on Sundays because she would be there on Sunday afternoon. And then I'll
yeah.
sit with her and she would show me what to do, how to man the console. So by the time the crossover time was ready, I was prepared.
Mm,
So when you were talking about how you had to go for training, I am grateful to the community around me. And one thing about us in media, we sometimes we sometimes forget that there are so many young people, young women, even young men who are looking at you. They have not been able to come to you probably, but they're
yeah.
looking at you and they're telling themselves that I can be this.
Yeah. In fact, you can be better.
Yeah.
Because you see, all we are just lights, we are just salt, we are not the main
Mm,
food, we are just flavor. So
word.
whatever you do, you are just supposed to ignite and keep it moving.
Word.
And you said something when you were speaking. Um, every time I engage with women, and I lean on women a lot these days because no offense, who's going to have us if we don't have
I mean,
us?
if we don't lean on ourselves, who is going to give us
You
back
see,
to lean
I know
on?
that not everybody is love light and namaste, but you see, for the few that manage to, engage in that energy and vibe,
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
such a rewarding thing because women actually raise a community. When
Mm,
they stand, it's not just, oh, I'm standing for myself, look at me, I'm pretty.
mm.
Usually it's families that they feed. They don't just feed one.
Oh
And
yeah.
not just families, they feed communities. Like they feed
Mm,
entire ecosystems. So I'm very
mhm.
keen about any lady, especially that's big on, leaning into their strength, whether it's in media or public speaking
Yeah,
or
yeah,
just showing value. The people around you, they're very key. You see, it took you two
yeah.
years for you to leave the boyfriend that you had, right?
Mhm.
I got married to a guy that I thought was big about my career. We met in NYC, and
Mm,
it was such a thing that I this was what I wanted. I knew that I was always going to have a life in media, and at the time I was already beginning to eye sports, but not fully, not
mm,
fully. So when we were having the conversation to get married, it was like, with the kind of thing that you are about, we plotted the map well. It was in tech,
mhm.
and it was like, okay, you know what, take care of the family, handle this, and your own will shine first, but when mine comes, I'll take care of everybody. So
Yes.
I say this because a lot of us will make our own manly plans, right? But because the plans are so nice, you don't look into the fine print of it. It got to a stage that I did my first commentary in Pidgin. See, we don't do Pidgin commentaries for Champions League, but we finally
Mm,
did. We're official sponsors, right? Abi
yeah.
commentary partners, and I did that. I think it was the Paris Saint Germain game versus Barcelona, and we had friends over and family over.
Mhm.
And, I was like, oh, what was great about your week? What was great about your week? And everybody was talking about their jobs and stuff. I noticed nobody asked me. So I was like, anyway, I did this. And in my sphere, it's a big deal. It was the first,
Mhm.
and I was the first female. In fact, I just
Yeah.
had become the first female to do commentaries in multiple languages. And
Wow.
knowing that I had just started that career with my full chest, just less than 18 months, and I was
Mm,
already doing the Bundesligas, the La Ligas, the Champions League, the African Cup of
mm,
Nations. At the time, I think I had just done the Euros as well. So having those big games in multiple languages under my belt, but I'd never done the
mhm.
Champions League. And that was a big one. And when I said that, you know, the next thing I heard was, you need to look at how you want to get pregnant again. A woman's ambition is not supposed to be bigger than a man's. And the man I called my husband at the time nodded and was like, yeah. It felt hard to me. When we started this conversation, I said, you have to start knowing, you have to sense where the environment is suppressive. It's not building, it's taking. And you have to be, because the people around you, they are your sphere of influence. Whatever they say or don't say, it either builds you up to where God wants you to be.
Yeah.
It's either it's your moral compass. If the people around you, they are thieves. You forget. Eventually, you thief.
Yeah.
If the people around you are weird. That's why what's it called? Psalm. It's not Psalm 91. Blessed is the man that do not sit. Because
In
when he
this,
thunder strike, he strike on you too.
it's like all of you sitting together. You are
Yeah.
sitting in the seat of
He doesn't do
discomfort.
selective strike, he strike you down. So I started noticing patterns. For years, I stayed though for years until I was told to choose between my marriage or my career. And I was told
Wow.
that me that had multiple degrees, I should go and sit in a shop. I
Hey,
should go and sit in a shop and be selling cornflakes and stuff.
I
Because
mean,
in his mind, he thought that now that I am a big man, that I have made it, all I want now from you is for you to sit and be selling in shop. And a lot of us, especially of African descent, where they ring marriage as the main thing, the only
yeah,
thing, the
yeah.
price, we tend to shut our brains down. I won't say I had a full support from my own family end, but one thing my dad did before he died was like, if this girl, I could not tell her anything about how she wanted to navigate her career, why do you think it's you that she has known for just how many years? My dad was a man that moved through many women, and all his women were mostly career women. So the idea that he lived off his women. So the idea that you want to live off my daughter initially, and then now you are fine, you want my daughter to come and be fully dependent, it was weird to him. So
Yeah.
even having that from my father say that also reinforced that even traditional men say know that this thing that is being told to me is weird.
It's
Not
odd.
everybody. No,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of us waste our time. See the time it took you. I know God time is the best, but 2 years.
See, my sister,
Do you
beyond
know how much 2 years of
that,
impact could have been?
that two
Two
years
years.
is that 2 years, I'm telling you, that was even in the early stages.
Hmm.
By the time I came back, there were so many challenges. A lot of things will, attack your confidence, especially when you're just growing and you're trying
When
to
you're just
find
growing. Ah,
trying to
yeah.
find your feet. The owner of the company that I was working in when I got to Lagos, one day, you walked in that same place. You know that
Bro,
reception
don't worry.
area.
I know how they go. I know how they
You know
go.
that reception area. You know how sometimes
Yes.
people hang out there.
Yes.
And I was just hanging out there one day, and this man walked, and and everybody was, oh, good afternoon, MD, good afternoon, MD. And he looked at me and he said, you come. He said, you are too local.
Omo.
Yeah. He said, I don't like the way you talk. You're local. And then he pointed to my colleague that was gisting, that we were all gisting together, and pointed at her and said, why can't you learn to speak like her?
Can you imagine? You want to
Because
hurt my spirits.
because
Hey.
that one have Oyibo fune.
Afanya. I know them. I know them. Don't
Mm,
worry.
I want a Ghana.
Hey.
And he said, why?
And continue, continue.
He said, why don't you learn to speak like her? It's not that he said it to me alone. It's the fact that we were there in public, in reception, everybody, staff, guests.
Bro, that is spirit breaking
Yo,
demonism. Holy Ghost fire.
see,
What can I call?
if I could,
Which
if I
of
could
my local
enter,
deities can I call?
if I could enter the floor, I would. If I could enter the floor, I would. But you know one thing, in fairness, that lady, I give her credit today. She immediately he said his thing and left. She just held my hand and she said, Fola, let's go out.
Very good.
She held my hand. She said, Fola, let's go out. And then we walked out and she was like, please don't mind him. You're doing good. She was older, she was more experienced. And she said, you're doing good.
Mm,
Me, I looked at, I said, oh yeah, teach me how to talk like you now. Because she said, please, you're okay the way you are, the way you speak. There is nothing wrong with it. You're
wow.
authentic, you're Nigerian, you're yourself. Please don't.
Thank you.
And that gave me, I had a feeling, when you have solidarity, you feel, okay, you feel like someone at least has your back.
Sis. You see that?
But,
You see that solidarity? Sorry for
ah,
cutting. It's big. Oh,
it is.
it
It
is big.
is. When
I
you
beg.
have the community, when you have a
Oh,
community of fellow women who understand you because they're in the same business, they're walking in the same shoes as you are walking, it is one of the
this.
biggest things. I can tell you that my career path from radio to I went back to TV briefly, even though I worked behind the scenes, and then coming back to investigative journalism and now working in communications, even still in journalism, it has been with the support of my community of women.
Yes.
If not,
They give this line that women don't really like women. I know some don't like women. Those ones,
that's their problem.
eventually I've learned to recognize them. Some of them, especially if you say you're a woman leader in a space
Mm.
and I don't see the fruits, I don't see the seeds around you. People
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that say, this woman, now she trained you. This woman did. I will just know that, this one is
No, no,
anti
no.
you, is the one that you come and say, I was raped. And the next thing they will do is, what were you wearing? Why, ba, 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 ba?
And
Mm-mm.
what did you
I,
do?
what did you do? I know those type.
Oh,
By the
uh-huh.
time the more you get older and life happens to you, you start your radar. mm, your radar will go. This thing
Yeah.
you're saying, I'll say speak two things on it. You being your authentic self. Authentic self, when I started with Pigeon, that's how they used to laugh, right? The last Euros that they did in Germany, I had some accounts reach out to me from my LinkedIn, to my Instagram, to my X, like all my regular accounts, apart from
Yeah.
TikTok. They were asking me to send them my commentary work. I usually post or do lives, and it's not
Yeah.
really about engagement, right? It's most of the work that have come to me from my socials, especially Instagram. Instagram
Mm.
has saved my life on so
It's
many
it's it's
levels.
where you put your work samples.
He Some people say LinkedIn has not given me work, oh, but you see that Instagram. Instagram has given me global sponsorships, has
Wow.
given me brand ambassadorships. Instagram has given me work in a museum. So they reached out to me because of work I put out for Super Sports. I had done commentary for the Manchester United Everton game a few seasons ago. I just posted it there, not enough engagement. I don't think I had up to 200 views. But
Mm.
the Ministry of Art and Culture, they were doing something really unique during
Mm.
the Euros. They wanted to showcase the biggest voices because they believe that commentary is like oral literature. It's how we
Yeah.
pass on things. So for the past 50 years, or for the decade, 100 years, they took all the best commentators in 100 years from all continents, multiple languages,
Wow.
different eras. In fact, the only person they brought that was speaking English from Africa was Ernest Okonkwo. It
Woo!
was legendary from what I
I
hear.
remember
See,
I remember him.
my sister, I'm not that big in sports in that way that I remember things. Really, I was more of a movie girl than a sports girl. I was more of a politics girl. See,
Who would
that
have
sports
thought?
only started when I born. But you know, but from what I hear and from what I have learned over time, that guy was genius,
Hmm.
transcendental when he did his thing. Those were the only persons that they picked. And then they
Wow.
called me and they carried my own and put it inside there. So for almost 3 months in Berlin, in their museum, they had an
Hmm.
oral arrangement that you could walk through different segments of the museum and you'll be hearing Spanish commentators, Polish commentators, different
Wow.
languages in the world. And then my sister, me, Alaja woman, fiam,
Hey.
they shook me inside there. I said the English and literature graduate in me that did 2 years of oral literature as part
Wow.
of my modern African literature supplements for courses. I felt so fulfilled. You
Hmm.
see, authenticism, it can't be overstressed. That's why when I hear people trying to put accents, I'm like, nice one, nice one. Why do you think you can speak the English better than the Britico? Why do
Thank
you think
you.
you can do better than the Americana? Everybody
More
is
than
trying
the
to
owner
get
of the
back.
language.
Baba, you sit down, being your authentic self. They've used it to yab me and laugh me. But I earn more checks speaking pidgin than English. And even
Hmm.
now, that I could switch because after a while, you have to bring from there into where the world can, be carried along. Even
Yeah.
now, I can still tell you that it's the stories that have local leanings. I got viral the other day. I didn't even know because I was too scared to even put the rant I had with the Moroccans at the AFCON, my Moroccan journalist. I was too scared to even put my rant that I ranted. Because they did nonsense and I ranted on my phone. I was like, when I get out of this country, when I go back to my country or when I'm on the last flight, that's when I'll
I can say
post
my
my
mind.
rants
Yeah.
because it was not a safe space at the time. Only for me to be in Turkey and managing myself and looking at my phone is blowing up. And apparently it's the Pangolo rant that I ranted that I
I
carried.
saw I
Why?
saw that video. I saw that video on
My
Twitter. I was
sister,
like, yeah, that's my girl, Chief Suo.
my dear, see, every other person, it's not like they didn't feel what I felt. A
Yeah.
lot of us were angry. But sometimes it's also a good thing that you are not really a sports like traditional. I was born in sports or like because sometimes you,
Mhm.
you need the other things to make you know that this is not how it is. There has to
Mm.
be mavericks. There has to be some abido shakers that shake things up. That is what I wanted to say for authenticism. When you mentioned, and then when it
Yeah.
comes to having people that also lift you up. Some of us are such brown nosers that when you see somebody put down your fellow person, whether they knowingly made a mistake or not, you know, because you want
Mm.
to be close to the boss, you then join and
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that. I was very excited. I will speak on this. I was very excited when there was an event that happened a couple of years ago at Alliance
Mm.
Francaise. And I was like, oh, Mohabudu is speaking. Mo was doing a thing for her birthday and she was, having a fireside chat and they put it out. And I was like, I wanted to get in and see what was up, right? Now, my
Yeah.
sister, you know Mohabudu.
Yeah, I do.
Recently, she started realigning and saying, Auntie Mo. Now, you see me, I don't know how to do familiarism and I don't farms. Oh, see, it might be a Yoruba culture to call everybody auntie. I'm an
Auntie, yeah.
Yoruba woman with Igbo and Ishekiri leanings. We know they call you auntie or uncle if you not be my auntie or
If you're
uncle.
not
Even
relatives.
my son doesn't call my friends aunties. He doesn't call, and even the people that take care of him, his caregivers, he doesn't call them aunties or uncles. He says Miss, Mister.
Mm-hmm.
We don't cross wires here. If it's I have enough brothers to call uncle for. I have enough sisters to call auntie for. So when I was there and I had a question, and I was like, so Mohabudu, great to see you. And, thank you for what you said. And I asked my question. First thing Mo did was trash me first. So
Whoa.
first of all, in front of everybody, she was like, first of all, we are not mates.
Hell.
Obviously, you know my age. I'm in my 60s. And I can't see you higher than a certain age. And I don't appreciate in Africa where you think everybody's your mate, you call them by their name. It's either Auntie Mo or don't call me at all. I was like, okay, nah. Where
Hell.
all my fellow senior Jordan, Mariah Brown was there. A lot of persons, the kind of ladies that will come for a Mo's event,
Yeah.
captains of industries, they were all there. And then the handler, the panelist that was handling it, Mo had done the thing and then she answered the question. Honestly, between you and me, I can't even remember
What the
what,
question was.
because already I was like, in journalism, we don't even call Abby chief, Abby doctor. They don't call me chief and doctor. They
We
call me
don't
my
use
name.
titles.
We
We
don't
call
use
each other by
titles.
name in
And you are
broadcasting.
in the media, even if you're in the movie side of the media more, but you've had a media company. How do we call people by their titles? Some people have 5 titles. How many titles do you want to call? You just mention it in passing and then you relate to them. It's still weird to me. Let me know like that. I can call a 50-something-year-old person or a 70-year-old person by their name. But in that
Mhm.
context, that's what we do. If it's off camera and it's off physical or general space, you go and be calling them, Mama, how you day now? Mommy, happy
Mhm.
birthday. Oh." But I can't be calling you mommy when you are not my mommy. I can't be calling you auntie when you are not my auntie. But I learned that day. So the panelist went in again on me
Wow.
after Mo had finished. Went in again on me. So when it was time for all of us to come out and snap pictures and whatnot, I
Mm-hmm.
noticed there were ladies from TVC, especially, they gathered around me. New Central, they gathered me. They're like, please, my dear, come and snap picture. Lift your head
Wow.
up. Don't mind them. We are media women. We don't call people by their name. Don't mind that one. She's just trying to be forming familiarity. She's just forming
Mm.
because there was no point in her repeating what Mo had said. Mo had done her thing. It's her birthday. An elder, we can excuse it. But coming at me again and
It's so
reinforcing,
unnecessary. It's
hey.
unnecessary.
And it was like all these young girls in this time. I'm like, madam, in my mind, I was like, madam, there's nothing you do that fits me. I'm just the way I say I value what you do. It's just like the way I say I value what Chisom does. Although I have a personal relationship with Chisom,
Yeah.
it's just I value what you do. It's not like I'm trying to be your personal person. So you've taught me in public, Abi. I'm sure that there was something because the way she went, I was like, okay, I didn't take it personal. I was like, in my mind, I was like, something personal must have happened that has put her in that place that she has to put people like you see a
Yeah.
cat and you think it's a lion. That's fine. I
Mm.
can excuse it because you are older. It's your birthday. It's your thing. I'm in your kingdom. You can't do this to me on the street because I will call you out for it. I will call
Exactly.
you out for it. I'm not
I
that.
don't even think that I don't even think that she would come to your studio where you are doing your thing and talk to you that way.
Oh, it was not even the most thing for me. Oh. It was the lady that still went in. So when you were speaking on how the boss did that to you in
Yeah.
public, and it was so unnecessary. I resonated because you see I've also gotten stuff like that that's so unnecessary. Why they
Hmm.
put down? You know, I've been taught that if you can't say something gracious, shut up.
Then
If you
don't
have
say
if
anything.
like
Yeah.
just shut up. If you cannot correct in corners, in corners,
Hmm.
especially if the first time you want to engage that person, you don't need to break a spirit to make sure that you
Hmm.
prove a point. That's why when I see people in public breaking people's spirit, I'm like, but you have a personal relationship with this person, you have their number. Why didn't you call them? Why are you coming out to come and give content on their life and give commentary on their life when you can always reach out to them in corners? So when I see women that just instinctively just gather you, as somebody that has been gathered,
Yeah.
my dear, coincidentally, I then became colleagues with some of them later.
Oh,
And
see,
I was not surprised why they
see,
gathered me because they have a spirit of gathering. They're like, guy, don't worry yourself. We've all been there. Don't worry. We've all been there. So because of that character, it built in me and it reinforced when you were talking about reinforcement. That's why
yeah.
conversations like this is very good. It reinforced for me that Omo, just because you see somebody doing anyhow doesn't mean that there are not people that are actually making efforts. Remember those that made effort for you. Now you
Mm-hmm.
can make effort for another person.
For
Even if they don't
someone
value it,
else.
make efforts. Make efforts. Because you
I,
can be the only
I
thing that gives
think
them joy.
it's this thing that you're saying is very, very important. It's very, very key because we are in an industry where we're expected as women to be a certain way, to look a certain way, to sound a certain way, to behave in a
Yes.
certain way.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering, how were you able to navigate all of that? Because it's very easy to judge women in this society, especially women who are in the forefront, who are very visible. You're on screen, doing your job, and they're not paying attention to the quality of the work you're doing. Rather, it is what you wore and how
Hmm.
you wore it, or it is what is going on in your private life that they want to talk about. It is
Yeah.
who you are friends with they want to talk about. It is all those unnecessarily random things. So you being a woman in the forefront, knowing fully well that a lot of young women, would like to model their careers after yours and see you as an example, what would you tell them? How about how you navigated that very precarious, space?
You have to keep it moving. You can't be stuck in moments, good, bad, ugly.
Mm.
Although sometimes, as some of my girlfriends tell me, I don't get to lean into the good as much and savor it. But
Mm.
I tend to have a thing that I don't stick on one thing. Most times, there's always multiple things going on. It's the parable of the talents. if you have multiple talents, today I can be
Mm,
here having this conversation knowing that I have a free day. Tomorrow it's location and set. It's for a
mm,
series, right? Another one is for business, for content curation, for a brand that I work with. Another one might
mm.
be for radio. When you are spread abroad, and you won't have time. When you
Yes.
don't have time for certain things, it keeps your focused. So it means that when you are with your family, when you are with friends, you don't waste time on the gossips.
Mm,
You don't waste time on the frivolities. You reinforce. Gossip is nice, but you know those malicious ones that you start talking about, that uncle, that auntie. Did you know?
mm,
Did
mm,
you?
mm,
Mm-mm.
mm.
I'm not the one that they call for that, because you don't want to waste my time. My time, I don't have it for those kind of things. They say, find a man diligent in his work, he will stand before kings and not men. It's not every time that you are working. Sometimes you are working on building relationships. And building
That's it.
relationships by just being present and providing support for the people you care about. So
Mm,
for the youngins coming on, there's this thing that, oh, you have to be working, and you won't have time for other things. No, you spread
mm.
yourself, balance yourself.
Yeah.
Balance yourself, whether it's for the spiritual stuff that you have to be on. And as somebody that has quarreled with God for a few years and I didn't speak with God, and now me and God we'll be guys who, because I can't even survive without him. When the bad things happen, you can't blame yourself. You see, I
Yeah.
did a few high profile interviews as a lady, and I didn't understand that being a guy going into a man's office and being a lady going to a man's office is two different things.
Two
Two, okay,
different things.
two different things. It didn't matter what I wore. I was raped. I was
Oh
raped.
my God.
Some of them are still in the government, still doing Oga. They are still heads of federations and whatnot. And, when I spoke on it to a couple of my female journalists, sports journalists, one of them, the way she blamed me. Ah, yeah, yeah. The other one, the way she spoke was like, serves you right. You are the one that wants to be chasing story. I was like, but you people knew these things. Why didn't you say? So, in my own turn, when I have an opportunity to notice that a youngin is making moves and she's passionate and whatnot, I will give you OT. I will tell you, come see some do's and don'ts, so that, see, it's not your fault. It's on the guys. But protect yourself in certain ways. And should
Mm,
certain things happen, see the moves that you can make. But one thing I've noticed is that they get caught up in the badge. And usually they run away from the profession. Bad things will happen. Don't let
mm,
them chase you out of the profession, because the bad things are not as big as the God that put you in that place. You
mm.
get? So you have to stay in it. Stay in it. Don't be chased out. Don't let the things that are not working out chase you out, unless you have decided, or God has decided that, okay, you know what, you have done your time here, pivot into something else.
Yes.
Don't limit yourself. This is the way we've always done it. It's a lie, oh. There are always new ways to do it. Before, we would not think that podcasting, 5 years ago, when people were saying podcasting, I have a boss from my time in City when I started, Tony Doe. He used to sing about podcasting 10 years ago. Nobody
Wow.
listened. See now, everywhere you look, a podcast here, there, everywhere. So
Yes.
don't be caught up in the old ways, but you must learn the way it has been done, so that you have a baseline to follow up
Mm,
and defend yourself for everywhere you want to enter. I don't like playing dress up a lot of times, but I enjoy it as a female now that I'm
mm,
enjoying my femininity, because I was told to deny it. I had to deny my femininity for years. So when it comes to the places you want to enter, you have to know the rules. You have to know what it looks like. I can't lie you. For the past 3 years, it has been much easier for me to access certain things because I know the rules of the game. I'm a
mm,
gorgeous 5'11" woman that I can cross dress in any way I please, as long as it suits me and the work I want to. So when you
mm,
want to enter TV, you can't come and say this is how I look and I will always want to be like that. You
mm,
observe, study to show thyself approved. So if you're youngin, you have to know where you want to go and see how
mm,
they do it there, so that you can blend in faster. You have to look like the Romans if you are in Rome, so that
mm.
it reduces the obstacles. When you reduce the
Yeah.
obstacles by knowing the way it is done to a certain
Mm,
level, collect the OT, it makes it faster for you to climb. It has been faster for me to navigate certain things now because I know the rules and I know where I
mm,
can bend it to suit
mm.
me and still make myself still stand out. So I'm just saying that, know the rules of the game. If you have to polish up, nobody's saying don't move around with an accent. I have a big GG sound. I'm a robo. So there are certain things I cannot pronounce well. I will fight
Yeah.
and fight. to pronounce it. But it's okay. Have a good attitude to learning and unlearning, and
mm,
you'll be fine.
mm,
That's the only thing I would lean on that. A great attitude to learning and unlearning, not letting the downer moments, be the big moments for you.
yeah.
Move over them. You are not your last victory. I used to have it. Move on. I was
Mm,
the move on. My friends and
mm,
I growing up, we said we wanted to be millionaires before we were 21. By 22, I was a millionaire. All of us were
mm.
multiple millionaires. Did we stick on it? No. Because 2, 3 months after, I became broke again. Broke. Broke as ever. So you can't be stuck in moments. When you are stuck in moments, you will never see what's coming next.
You will not
And
advance.
it makes you caught up. You start having silly attitudes that you shouldn't be having. Like the way some
Mm,
people now, you just blow small and some people know you, or you have one project that makes you popular, and then the
mm.
attitude we won't touch you with a 10-foot pole. Guy, move on. Just because something is good, bad, or ugly happened to you doesn't have to change how you relate with people. It's that
Yeah.
relations that matters. And I will put my pen down on that one.
Wow. You are preaching to me. You are preaching to
Sis, you preach
me
to me too.
today.
It's a two-way street, man.
I know that we're like a few minutes beyond time, but I wanted to ask you this very important question about mentorship because it's something that me and a close friend and colleague used to argue about a lot. So she always says that she does not want to have any career mentor or um we're in the same media business, and she's always saying that for like you're always looking up to one person, looking up to this person, calling that one mentor, calling another one mentor. Later they'll come and hurt you,
Mm,
So she's like, she would rather just go her way and do her thing and figure it out. Now,
mm.
for someone like me, I tend to believe that there are people that you admire, that you can admire, that you don't necessarily have to even have a personal relationship with them,
Facts.
but but you can admire them. And if you want to model after their career, you can, if you have access to ask questions, you can go ahead and ask. If you don't, you can follow them, maybe from a distance, and
Mm.
just observe how they do certain things. Now, I've been lucky that I've had the ones that I've had access to and the ones that I have not. And the ones that I don't even want to access because I've also been burned, so that sometimes, even when there's room for access, I don't want to know you before
I don't want
you.
to know you. I just want to know what you do.
Exactly. But for someone like me, I used to work with a lady when I stepped away from broadcasting and I wanted to go full digital. There's a lady called Mercy Abang, and Mercy at that time was based in Germany, and she had a news platform called News Central, and she was the one who told me that, Fola, you have talent that is outside of broadcasting. Explore it. You can write, start writing. You can manage a website. And for the first time, I ended up being a senior manager for a news website that is fully digital. And
Bro, that's dope.
that experience is why I'm doing this job that I'm doing currently, because she opened my eyes to see that you can step away from broadcasting and still be in the media and do well and earn money. So people like that, I tend to be like, oh, I look up to you. I see you as a mentor because I see the way her own career too has grown,
Yeah.
even when she left Nigeria to Germany. So I wanted to ask you if you have any mentors, if you believe in the idea of mentorship, especially for women in media and journalism, or you are of the opinion that, yeah, admire them, but make everybody day their day. You understand? What do you
Ah,
think?
it's a mix and match. Oh. You can't go forward without your own John the Baptist or Jesus. Oh. But
Mm,
just like the way you have to pick and choose. Not all the 12 disciples were on point. Peter had his anger issues. John, he was
mhm.
always in the cloud. He was always seeing revelation. That will tell you how high that guy was always. If you ask him to wash plates, he will tell you about dragons. So you pick and choose because all heroes generally have feet of clay by the time you come
Mm,
close. And
yeah,
I've noticed that a lot of the persons that with the fresh eye of, oh, my mentor, especially when I was in my 20s and my
yeah,
my teens. Yeah. I noticed that this one, not be yamu, he good for this thing,
yeah,
but this other
yeah.
thing, if I stay in this space, I no go dey okay. So I think it's a hybrid for me. There are those that I want to come close to. I've been lucky enough to have some that are still on my case and will still trash me for not being on point with certain things that they put me onto. My boss who sacked me and now still employs me for other things over the years,
Wow.
Chichi Wonko. Yeah, she sacked me because I had a poor approach. Yeah, a
Wow.
poor approach to negotiation. But done the World Cup, and I approached her and I was like, my husband at the time, I was like, you have to meet them and tell them that you're a married woman. You have needs. They have to increase your salary. And me, when I went
Oh,
there, I'm a married woman with children. Increase my salary. She looked at me. She was like, no, you're fired. Don't worry.
oh my gosh.
Titi is someone that left America as a broadcaster, came to Nigeria, entered the broadcasting space as a power player. Um, you don't see women being at the forefront, head of a broadcast network and whatnot. And
Yeah.
she has gone on to, create more entities like that. And it's sports and entertainment that's our biggest products. She's about that.
Yeah.
So she was like, no, don't do that. She advised me, even as she was giving me the hard facts, right?
Hmm.
As she was giving me at the time, it was my most pay for doing what I do now, which also
Yeah.
involves Vox Pop and activations. Was my most pay at the time I'd ever gotten at the time. And
Hmm.
when I learned that others, I was doing a lot of work and I felt like I had more value and others were collecting more because bigger names, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's why I was very like, oh, can you do that to me? I'm a family woman. I'm a married woman. I'm a picky, picky, picky. She was like, nah, you didn't speak in the language that answers or we answer
Hmm.
to in corporate world. In corporate world, we only answer to value. So
Hmm.
even when people give me the stick, if you give me the stick on my value that I didn't meet up with the KPIs and whatnot, that's different. That's why I can say that since that time, there's never been any job I've been on. If you want to sack me because you want to sack me, eh? Because I will not
Hmm.
play to your politics. But on the job, I will either be your top rater when it comes to ratings. I'm either your top
Wow.
one or top two. And usually I'm not two. I don't waste time with delivering. I will
Wow.
deliver like Hebrew women. I will deliver. I will do your work. It's just that I will only do your work that I said I would do. What's your job
Hmm.
scope? I will do it and I'll keep it moving. And usually, what comes next is people telling me that, oh, but we see you doing this here and here. And I'm like, is it on your time? No. Just
Exactly.
because I can do all these things and you have it in your company doesn't mean I'll do it for you. My contract with you is, for instance, radio, not podcast. It's TV.
Hmm.
And TV of this type, it's not TV in English, it's TV in Pidgin, for instance. It's TV in
Hmm.
English, for instance. It's not entertainment, it's politics. So I'm very particular about what I give out. And it was because Chichi Wonko started teaching me with a very hard lesson about specifics. I still get to
Hmm.
work with her on multiple projects. In fact, we worked last year, the African Military Games, she brought me in. I was able to do multiple things. And it was still based on value. So
Hmm.
she's a mentor. Chisom, of course, is a mentor. I would say Moses Praise is a mentor because
Hmm.
he's somebody that's very big on the optics and delivering and being able to represent from a Nigerian space to Africa and the world. And
Yeah.
when you see people like that, he's a model that turned into a broadcaster. So you
Hmm.
know he has to understand the looks and the
Yeah.
play of things. I have friends who are my senior colleagues, like Sisi, who works with channels, that's a mentor. My best friend, who's older than me by 10 years, is a mentor. I have a family of sisters and their mom mentors. They teach me about life and business,
Hmm.
and they help me about when it comes to investments and make sure that I don't make the wrong moves, even when
Hmm.
life is happening fast.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
mentorship is not just for me for career, it's for life. It's for living. I see people who have quality of life that, despite whatever is happening. I have a friend, she's a manager in MTN. She's a widow,
Hmm.
mother of three. She turned 40 and she bought her own house. You know,
Amazing.
Who would think that coming from where I come from and seeing women who get to life happens and we all get like downtrodden. So I see people that do things in an honorable way. Very like there's a standard of life I want. So these are my mentors. It's not just for can they go, can they get it? The late Ebert Wigwe was a mentor. He gave me my first major interview with a boss, and he spoke in pidgin. And the way he approached it, there was never an access marathon that he would not track me. I said, "Man, pidgin girl, talk. Can't talk to me, make we talk." It was because of him I learned that he was from, Port Harcourt, Rivers, that he was an
Wow.
Ikwere waterside man. Because he blew so big, everybody was doing shrink to him. But he never forgot his roots. And he was very big
Amazing.
about bringing people up that seemed like they wanted to showcase our people in a positive
Yeah.
light. So I'll say the Olu of Warri as well and his wife, they are mentors because I see what they do. Last year they brought me up to do some work in Delta State. It was for mentorship for the young kids there. And it opened my eyes in such a way that I'm like, being in a place of cultural relevance and having a bit of influence doesn't mean that you don't get to put a hand out. Because in the end, it's the kids, so it's not also, it's the kids, so if we're not doing stuff for them, problem. So yes, I have mentors. These are just a few off the top of my head that I can mention.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, just listening to you, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me. Honestly, it's been very, very, very educative. Not just for me who is talking to you, but I want to believe that for everyone who will take time to listen to this episode, there's so much wisdom, so much wisdom. And so, I am one of the people that is definitely inspired by you. I just need you to know that
Oh,
I find you very inspiring. I find you, I see what you do. I appreciate it. I know the hard work that you put behind. I might not even know 100% of the work that you put in, but I know that you definitely put in good hard work and it is paying. And
amen.
I can only say that, I wish you bigger success than you've ever seen, that you've ever imagined. And I do believe
Yes.
that, whatever it is that you put your hands to do, it will be so successful, your mind will be blown away.
Amen.
So that is my prayer for you.
Amen. Amen. Same, sis. Same, sis.
You've been listening to the Minding Your Business Africa podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and rate us on your streaming platforms. Minding Your Business Africa is produced by Africa Talks Network. Our executive producers are Fola Folayan and Nelly Kalu. Royalty-free music provided by Melody Loops. Mixing and mastering by Fola Folayan.